All right, hey, everybody, OCD sufferers, anxiety-ridden people of the world. Brian, back with another video. So what I want to do, guys, is I've been getting so many questions. Like, honestly, my email is flooded every day with questions, which I understand. I did the same thing at one point. I emailed every source that I could find that maybe could give me some answers. And as much as I'd like to respond to everybody, I am a full-time musician. I run a dueling piano company, actually. And now that I've been taking on more people and coaching more people online, I've actually started giving up some of those dates. And so in an effort to answer some questions, what I'm going to do today, and I'd like to do maybe every month or so, is an Ask Me Anything YouTube session. So today I'm just going to go through a few questions that I've received that I think are worthy of some of my insight and some of my ideas. So the first question I got, and I won't name anybody who wrote these questions, and that's not important. What type of OCD do I/did I suffer from? Well, I have a long history with OCD. When I was in first grade, I suffered from trichotillomania, which is hair pulling. I just had this urge to pull out the back of my hair. And I ended up being a 6-year-old kid with a bald spot in the back of my head. And trichotillomania has been closely related, and they put it on that same spectrum as OCD. Anyway, moving on from there, I started getting into like a certain type of hypochondriasis, worried about being sick. Anytime that I got sick, I would analyze all the things that I did leading right up to it, and then those became avoidance behaviors. So especially anytime, I remember there were a couple times where I got like the norovirus, and I got that stomach bug where I felt just terrible. And anytime that happened, I remembered all the food that I ate that day, and they became like a no-eat list. So that became something somewhat of obsessive-compulsive disorder. I still wouldn't put it fully in the box. And then that also coexisted with a contamination thing, where I would never touch public doorknobs. I would always grab either a piece of toilet paper or a paper towel. Would hand wash anytime I touched anything. I always felt like I had germs on me. And even though that was going on, I still wouldn't fully say that that was an all-out OCD thing quite yet. But I do remember going to like the health clinic a bunch of times when I was in college, thinking that I may have contracted something, some STD, going to the doctor when I would get, a couple headaches a couple times a week, thinking I might have some kind of brain tumor. That was always going on, this sort of overriding fear that I was going to get sick and die. And then the big ones for me, the thing that really took the wind out of my sail and took up 10 hours of my day when I first got it, was a form of HOCD mixed with ROCD, and that was the first thing where once I read about the symptoms of OCD, where I was like, wow, that's exactly what's going on here. So that's the first thing where I could really put it in this strong OCD pocket. HOCD and ROCD, they coexisted together because I was dating somebody at the time, made it very, very difficult. And there was also mixed in there some harm OCD. I wouldn't put that one would pop up. It wasn't always there like the other ones. It would pop up, but it was definitely something that caused me a good deal of anxiety and made me worry about myself and who I am. And there was also some scrupulosity, some religious OCD going on in there too. And so quite a bit. Let's see, next. Do I find mindfulness or exposure response prevention to be effective on their own? Yeah, I think both of them are effective. I find that in combination, for me, that was sort of the ultimate treatment. I had found Pandora's box of goodies, if you will. I had done the exposure response prevention for a couple years before I got into mindfulness and learned a lot of the ideas and philosophy behind mindfulness and learned how to meditate. And I found that that really helped me be able to do exposure response prevention. And it just helped me as sort of an umbrella treatment for a bunch of other stuff that was related to the OCD and stuff that wasn't related to the OCD. And so I think for me, my best bet, and this is what I recommend to anyone that I'm talking to, is to learn about both and to do them in conjunction. At this point, I haven't had to really do exposure response prevention for a couple years. It just, if something pops up in OCD, an old thought or a fear pops up, I'm able to just use my mindfulness practice, and I find that it just goes away. Next question, how much do I meditate, and is it always the same? I generally try to get 45 minutes to an hour every day. When I first took my 8-week course at the University of Penn for mindfulness, the amount that the instructor meditated was so insane to me that I figured I could do at least 45 minutes to an hour. He had done the 3-year, 3-month, 3-day, 3-hour, 3-minute thing where they go off in, he was up in Saskatchewan, I believe, doing that whole thing, where that was literally 3 years of meditation. And I haven't quite gone to those lengths. I've done a couple week-long programs. I've taken a couple trips on my own where they're just meditation trips where I bring food and it's just me and I get really into it. And is it always the same? No, it's definitely not always the same. I learned a sort of general way to do zazen, sitting meditation, and there's videos all over the place online about how to do that. In fact, one of my videos is closely related. It's just a sitting, feeling your thoughts kind of thing, connecting to your breath. So there's always an anchor. There's some sort of focal point. And I did that for probably the first couple years that I was really getting into meditation. That was it. I would just do like a sitting meditation, and there were a few things I'd focus on anchoring. Was the breath first, the feelings in my body, both feelings from anxiety and OCD, and also just physical feelings in general. If there was any pain in an area, just feeling your body as it is. There's a type of meditation called body scan where it just goes through from your toes up to your head, and you focus on your physical feelings all the way through in your body. And then connecting to thoughts, so you're being mindful of your thoughts as they're coming up, trying to get trying to raise your awareness as much as possible, so when you catch yourself thinking, you say, oh, I'm thinking, and you come back to a different anchor, or even you just sit and watch your thoughts. One of the meditations I really like to do, especially in the heat of OCD, was a thought meditation where I would just imagine a black screen kind of, and every time a thought came up, I was with it. I was aware, so it was happening in real time. I wasn't behind it. That was the goal of the practice, was to be in real time with your thoughts, as opposed to following your thoughts and going, oh, I've been thinking for 5 minutes and I didn't realize it. So I'd imagine a black screen, and whatever the thought was, I'd actually have it in word form on a black screen, and I'd watch it, and then I would just imagine it disappearing, and then the next thought would come up. And I found that very effective, because after practicing like that for a while, you carry this stuff into your day-to-day, regular, non-meditating time, and you can catch yourself doing it. It's practice. It's just practice. So that will actually lead into this last question, which is, I find it easier to stop obvious, overt rituals, but how do I get out of my head when the obsessions won't stop bouncing around in there? Right, so how do you stop ruminating as opposed to, right, it's easier to tell someone, hey, don't wash your hands. Here's your exposure response prevention. Don't wash your hands. But then there's the part that says, well, now I'm worried that I'm going to get HIV, or now I'm, worried that I'm going to get some infection and I'm going to die, whatever it might be. So that's going on now in your head. So one, something like a thought meditation is a good thing to start practicing there, because what you realize after a while with doing a thought meditation is that you don't have to follow those thoughts anywhere. And when you realize with OCD that you can't get an answer, and you can't ever know or get the reassurance that you want, it's never going to last, then you realize that following those thoughts is completely worthless. It's not worth your time. It's not going to help you at all. In fact, it's going to make you worse. So that mindfulness practice of thoughts, of watching your thoughts and being aware of your thoughts and recognizing that you don't have to follow them, was extremely helpful for me. At least I think, I definitely saw a lot of benefit over the years of meditating, but I did a bunch of different meditations. So, some of the other ones, part two of question number 3 there, I didn't really answer. So is it always the same? No, I worked originally one-on-one with my mindfulness instructor at my 8-week course. And that was a million times better for me than doing the classroom setting, because the classroom setting was all very, mindfulness 101 kind of stuff you'd read in Mindfulness for Idiots book, and just very basic stuff. We got into much deeper meditations, and some of the ones that I think were the most helpful for me personally with my OCD was kind of like the one that I have on here about connecting with your feelings of OCD, your anxiety, learning how to invite stuff in, allow it to be there, not try to hold on to it or not try to push it away, making room for it, all that kind of stuff. And then we got deeper into meditations. We did meditations for each of the 7 attitudes of mindfulness, non-judgment. So, spent months working on just like a non-judgment meditation, learning how to see thoughts and feelings and everything else that popped up as just as unbiased and objective things that just pop up. Hey, that's just a thought. It means no more than a cloud passing by in the sky, and I don't have to do anything with it. So that was very important. Non-judgment, non-striving, so the practice of not really trying to get anywhere. Patience, and all of these kind of go hand in hand with each other, but all the meditations that we did were slightly nuanced. Patience, then there's beginner's mind, where you learn to kind of look at things like you're seeing it for the first time with a curiosity and an open mind about what it is or what it can mean. Non-judgment, non-striving, patience, beginner's mind, what am I missing? Acceptance. We went through all of them. And since then I've gotten into some even further deeper meditations, meditations on loving kindness, which is known as metta meditation, meditations on death and acceptance of death. I'm at a point now where I can focus on just going deeper with meditations that aren't at all related to my OCD. But those meditations were so useful because it takes that time, I think, to practice them, to the point where they become second nature when you're just living your day-to-day life. And the goal with all those meditations is to carry those attitudes, what you've practiced, what you've worked on in the sitting meditation, to carry them with you in your day-to-day life. All right, guys. Sorry, I know these are kind of long videos, but I do want to try to be as thorough as possible. Again, guys, if you want to talk to me, you can email me at ocdmindful@gmail.com. And have a great day. Thanks, guys.